If you want to get promoted, you need to start doing the exact opposite of what you think a boss would do. After 13 years as a manager and now a director helping other managers get promoted, I've seen that the ones who rise the fastest always do the opposite of the status quo. And when they make the simple switch, they stop having to put in long hours and finally make it to the next level. So in this video, I'm going to show you 3 easy ways to adopt this style so you can finally get noticed without all the grunt work and land your promotion that you've been working for. So how can you quickly start using this to land your next promotion? What I'm about to show you was something I sucked at early in my career, but once I started using this, I finally was noticed by upper leadership and ownership. By learning how this works, it's going to save you years of grueling work getting to your promotion. So how do you do that? Well, to see a famous example of how this works is to look at one of the greatest basketball coaches to ever live, Phil Jackson. He coached Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, 2 of the most dominant players of all time. But he didn't tell them how to score. Instead, he built the triangle offense, or a system that was designed to give structure without suffocating creativity of the players. This gave players the space to read the floor, react to what's happening, and lead the play in real time. Jackson wasn't shouting from the sideline or calling every move. Instead, he gave his team the blueprint and trusted them. Because great coaches don't control every decision. And that's the difference between managing and building for the future. Managing is answering every question. Building means asking the right ones and letting your team run the play. When your team starts to run without you because you've allowed them to make their own decisions, you're ready to be pulled up to the next level. So how do you do this? Well, tomorrow when someone asks you a question, because we all know that's going to happen, get in the habit of asking, what do you think we should do here and why? And let them just take the first swing at it. Then you just coach them through your thinking, like how you'd assess the risk or what trade-offs you'd consider, where you'd adjust, and then end with, great, run with it. The important part here is making sure that they understand why they're doing something. This acts as kind of their North Star for their decisions, so just make sure that's dialed in and let them find their own path. That trust makes your team feel good about their job and execute at a higher level because they're carrying out their own ideas, not just yours. This seems so simple, but it really is where the magic happens. And now that you know this, you're going to have an edge over everyone else. And if you want to make sure you always have the edge for your next promotion, hit subscribe. But there is a problem. If you don't start doing the next thing I'm about to show you, there's a good chance your boss hesitates during the next promotion. This was actually the reason I didn't get my first promotion, so I don't want you to fall into the same trap. So what is it and how do you avoid it? Well, for this to make sense, I want you to imagine you're getting ready for a long road trip. You've spent months planning, you've got the car all packed up, and your family is ready to go. But right before you're about to leave, you notice one of your tires has a massive nail in it. What would you do? Would you throw on a spare tire and ride it across the country at 55 miles an hour? Of course not. You would stop and go get another tire. You wouldn't risk your family and your car and the trip on an unreliable donut tire that is meant for emergencies only. So what does this have to do with getting promoted? Well, everything. Because when your boss considers promoting you, they're not just thinking about you. They're thinking about the team that you leave behind. If your replacement is shaky, untested, or nowhere near ready, that promotion feels like driving cross country on a spare. It's risky, it's fragile, it's just not worth it. But if you've already built someone solid, someone who can take the wheel and keep things moving, then stepping you up isn't a gamble anymore. That's the trap that most managers miss. They focus so much on just doing the job and they forget to build that person who comes next. So how can you make sure that you have someone ready? This week, I want you to start with your top 2 team members and ask yourself, if I got promoted tomorrow, could either of them step in and keep things running? If the answer is no, then that's your next move. Pick one high-value responsibility that you usually own and hand it to them. Make sure you coach them through it and let them make decisions. You want them to stretch because that's when they get better. And then next, take time to teach. Anytime you're doing something niche that normally you handle because it's just easier that way, pull them aside and show them what you're doing. You want to be aggressively trying to expand their job knowledge. Even just routine things that someone in your role should know, show them as you do it. And then finally, position them as leaders within your team. I used to do this all the time with my potential replacements. It's one thing for them to say they'll be ready to lead, it's another for them to actually do it. Don't get me wrong, having them lead without the title is probably one of the hardest things for someone to do because employees don't like to listen to their peers, but it prepares them for the moment when it's time to step up. So put them in charge of a project and let the team know. Watch how they navigate this difficult situation to see if they can find ways to get people to listen without needing that title. By developing these employees, that's how you stop being the only one who can lead and start being seen as someone who builds other leaders. Because when you have someone ready to take your place, it's an easy decision to pull you up. But there is still another problem. Even if you have a replacement ready, there's still something critical most managers overlook when trying to get promoted. Deal with this problem and you will have a clear path to moving up. So how do you do that? Well, a great way to explain how this works is by looking at everyone's guilty pleasure, McDonald's. Don't try to tell me that you don't eat there sometimes. They don't sell a billion burgers to no one. But have you noticed that you can walk into a McDonald's in a completely different city and the fries taste the exact same? It's got the same crunch, the same salt. It doesn't matter if you're in Manhattan or Modesto, it's identical. How? Is this some type of French fry voodoo magic? No, the Golden Arches have created golden systems, from checklists to fry timing to training, all built so that the outcome stays consistent even when the people change. So if you want to get promoted, you need to develop unbreakable systems that keep your organization outputting the same delicious golden French fries regardless of who takes over the fryer. So how do you do that? Well, this is actually something I've been great with since I was a kid, and it's one of the big reasons why I am where I am today. So here's my system to make a system. That sounds about right. Step number 1, run the 2-day test. Ask yourself, if I disappeared for 2 full days, what wouldn't get done because it's so dependent on you? So make a list. Anything that gets stuck, delayed, or dropped, that's where you can make a system. You need to start with whatever is the most important to your organization. And then step number 2, find what's holding it up. Pull up the last 10 email threads or texts regarding the thing that you're trying to systematize. What are people asking for? Are they looking for approvals or clarifications or needing you to take a look at it before they submit it? You're basically looking for where people are having a tough time understanding so that you can break it down into even smaller systemized parts. And then step number 3, turn this task into a full-blown system that anyone could follow. This is going to be where you get your promotion, but it does require a few simple steps. So the first part, we're just going to write it all out. Open a doc and explain the task like you're teaching somebody brand new. Use short, clear steps. Think checklists, not paragraphs. Don't say, check the report. Say exactly what to check and how to know that it's right. And it'll be helpful to add cues like, if this happens, then do this next. Or before you finish, double check these 3 things. Part 2, define the edges. So what I mean by that is, what does someone need to know before they start? And what does a good final result look like? And are there any rules, any timings, approvals, or formatting that they need to follow? And then part 3, centralize everything. Put it all in one place that your team already uses, like a Google Doc or a sheet, but drop in the templates, the tools, the links, the real examples, and any quick tips, or watch out for this, notes. The goal here is no confusion. No searching, everything they need is just right in front of them. And then finally, part 4, run a cold test. Pick someone on your team who's never done this task before. Ask them to follow the steps without your help. Watch where they get stuck and fix those parts until the process runs smooth. That's it. You built a system anyone can follow. And when you nail this, that's the difference between a helpful manager and a promotable leader. And I know you're going to nail it because you got what it takes and now you have the tools. So you've built systems, you're developing people, you're doing everything right. But here's what might still be holding you back. You're being too fair. So in this next video, I'll show you why treating everyone the same can stall your promotion and what to do instead to guarantee your next move up.